Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 6, and today we're taking a look at the 1992 Mazda RX-7 Type R. So this is part of the third generation of the RX-7, which was produced from October 1991 to August 2002, although it was revised over that period, with this version being part of the Series 6 that lasted between 1992 and 1995. Then we had the Series 7 between 96 and 98. And then finally the Series 8 between 98 to 2002. This Type R was a lightweight sports car variant of the vehicle and had a 50-50 weight distribution as a result. And yeah, I've always been a fan of the RX-7, although I would say the Spirit R Type A and this version are my favourite variants of the car. The more standard version that we've had in many a Forza game in the past has not been my favourite. I just think it's got something lacking about it, to be honest, but this with its front splitter and really rather nice looking rear spoiler and the twin exhausts all just comes together to make for one hell of a handsome looking car. And yeah, this is easily one of the best looking cars that Mazda and Japan has produced over the years. It's also got a 5-speed manual gearbox, rear wheel drive, and not much in the way of room in the rear though with this car. Quite frankly, those rear seats are a joke. You either need no legs or no head. But front interior wise, it's fairly decent. You've got a hell of a lot of dials on the go, but plenty of creature comforts as well on top of that. So yeah, no major issues there. And there is a bit more in the way of practicality though when it comes to rear cargo space, as the boot is effectively a hatch. And yeah, you've got a rear parcel shelf and obviously a decent amount of room in the boot itself, although it's not particularly deep. But nonetheless, being a coupe, two things are a matter about a coupe: style, which this certainly has, and performance, which it also has thanks to its 1.3 litre twin turbocharged twin rotor rotary engine, and it produces 252 horsepower and 217 pounds-feet of torque. So this had a sequential twin turbocharging system which was introduced in 1992. That was apparently extremely complex and was developed with the aid of Hitachi. It was previously used on the JDM-only Cosmo JC series, quite frankly a coupe that I also want on this game, as it's a fantastic looking car. The system itself uses two turbochargers, one to provide 10 psi of boost from 1800 RPM. Then the second turbocharger is activated in the upper half of the RPM range during full throttle acceleration, and that comes in at 4000 RPM to maintain 10 psi until redline. And the whole changeover process occurs at 4500 RPM with a momentary dip in pressure to 8 psi, and this overall provides a semi-linear acceleration effect, which while also making it more usable on a day-to-day basis thanks to the torque being available at lower revs, which is one problem that the subsequent RX-8 would have, as that has significantly less torque than this, and therefore means that you have to really rev that engine to get it going anywhere. Whereas this, with 217 pounds-feet of torque at 1800 RPM, means that you can put it in a higher gear, have it revving lower, and therefore quieten it down when you just want to get where you want to go, rather than racing around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So yeah, that is a very good system, and one that really does help this car be a more usable one on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, all in all, it also weighs 2,778 pounds, so not a heavyweight either. So yeah, plenty about this car that is to be impressed about, but nonetheless, to see how it drives, let's get out onto the Hakubu circuit and see what it can do. Right, so here we are at the Hakubu circuit, so as per usual, let's hear what the car sounds like and we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, this is probably one of my favourite sounding Wankel rotary engines, quite frankly, because even though it is a reasonably high revving engine, as you can see, 7,500 RPM, it's not overly high revving, which, to be honest, some rotary engines can get a little bit annoying when they start climbing above 8,000 RPM as far as I'm concerned. So you've got a good sounding engine, you've also got a really well balanced car with that 50-50 weight distribution, not much weight on the go anyway, but also then you've got the rear wheel drive and the front engine layout as well working in tandem. So yeah, it's a really fun handling car overall, to be honest, and one that also goes pretty well as well, as it can do 0 to 60 in 5.256 seconds, 0 to 113.019 seconds, and it'll go into a top speed of 178 miles an hour. So this comfortably is able to rival, you know, European alternatives, you know, like Porsche 911 from the same period as this, or, you know, more, you know, cheaper versions of the Porsche like the 968. But regardless, yeah, it's a fantastic car in its own right, and yeah, definitely one of my favourite Japanese cars in general, and certainly one of my favourite Mazdas, and yeah, just a generally good sports car in its own right, regardless of where it's from. And yeah, they've really done wonders with the turbocharging and such to make sure it's more usable. You know, there's very limited amount of turbo lag, and yeah, it's also on the whole a really rather fun car to drive. Plus, it's got pop-up headlights, which means it's automatically a cool car. So yeah, a fantastic vehicle, one that I am glad is in this game now. It is a replacement for, I believe, the Spirit R Type A, which granted did have a little bit more in the way of power, and I think even a little bit less in the way of weight, but this is still a great car regardless of which version you're trying out. So yeah, it's highly recommended that you try this one out if you are into this game at the moment. But if you have tried this version of the RX-7 already, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.